Pray about this. Okay, here we go. 5, 4. And we are back at the island. And today, here at the island, we are thrilled and feel very honored to have our guest today. She is a friend of the podcast and a real diva.
Yes,
She is married to her high school sweetheart, Vernon, and lives in Rockwall, Texas. They have 2 remarkable children, Sydney, a Baylor University graduate, and Marcus, a 10th grader who hosts his own podcast called Other Kids. So in addition to supporting and uplifting women diagnosed with breast cancer, she works for the Verizon company, and she is a military spouse mentor through American Corporate Partners. Our special guest is a boss and is a survivor thriving in remission. Welcome, Toya.
Welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule for this very important episode. Yes.
It's my pleasure.
Yes, well, thank you. So we're going to just dive right in, Toya. We don't want this to be too difficult for you. We're hoping that this episode will be encouraging, enlightening for someone out there that may have gone through or is going through what you've already been through. So again, we really appreciate you sharing your story. So I'm going to start out asking questions. I'm going to ask, at what age were you diagnosed, Toya? And what stage were you diagnosed?
That's a good question. I was around 40 that I was diagnosed, and my staging has really been, I had the best doctor because she didn't focus so much on the staging, and it was almost like I didn't ask and she didn't tell. And I think that was kind of like her way of getting her patient through, the treatment plan. But I believe I would have been like stage 2 at the time, and even a stage 3. So, because actually staging can change from year to year. They learn more and kind of change the parameters. But I would say between stage 2 and stage 3.
Okay, and so tell me about, because I know when I talked to you earlier about being diagnosed like the I don't want to say it.
Metastasized.
Thank you. Yeah, tell us about that process and the treatment that you got.
So really they thought it was early, or for, many months and even a year, they thought it was something other than breast cancer. And by the time that it was really diagnosed through a biopsy, they knew that it was cancer, but really didn't understand fully until we had the surgery that it actually had metastasized to my lymph nodes.
Okay.
And so that really kind of changes the treatment plan. You want to be more aggressive, because once it's in your lymph nodes like filters your blood, and your blood goes through your whole body. But I was fortunate enough that it was just in the lymph nodes. It hadn't gone to any of my other organs. So it was good.
You just educated me, because I always thought if it went into the nodes that it was really, really bad, and there's no turning back. Yeah, you just educated me.
Yeah, no, there actually is still hope, but yes, once it's in the lymph nodes, because your lymphatic system goes through all the organs,
right?
It can be very scary, but
God
had a plan.
Yes, yes,
yes, He did.
Yes.
Well, you all kind of touched on the question that I had for you, Toya. How were you initially detected? Did you do the self-breast exam, or did your doctor say, oh, there's something going on here? What made you even think that there needed to be something done, or you checked out?
So that's an excellent question. I often did do my own breast exam in the shower, not necessarily monthly, but pretty regularly. I did notice there was one area of my breast where the tissue changed. Everything was, kind of soft and cushy. And then there was one area that was smooth and hard. And I kind of watched it over time. I had, had Marcus, my son, not that long ago. I thought perhaps it was some kind of calcification from, breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
But because it changed, it got bigger. That kind of made me realize that I should see a doctor. And even seeing the doctor, though, he thought that it was a cyst. And I had the best doctor, gynecologist, just very thorough and up to date. But in his, professional opinion and even his personal opinion, he thought it was a cyst. And so we really didn't act on it as fast as we should have. But over time, with more tests and with it, getting larger, we understood that it was not a cyst. So we biopsied and found out that it was actually breast cancer.
Okay.
So before that, did you go through like a mammogram or anything before they decided to do the biopsy?
Yes, I did do a sonogram. And after the sonogram, and I believe I did a mammogram as well, because I probably did the mammogram when I was 40, actually.
Okay.
But I have very dense breasts, and a lot of Black women have dense breasts. And if your doctor ever tells you that, then I would always just do my due diligence with your mammogram, because dense breasts can hide breast cancer. Yeah. And that's what was happening. We could feel it, but we couldn't see it. And even in the sonogram, you could feel it, but you really couldn't see it. And when we did the biopsy, even that was difficult, trying to get to the actual spot, where it was. But unfortunately, but no, not unfortunately, but fortunately, we got a little bit of it. Mm-hmm. And that told us that there's a problem there. So, good question.
Well, you've educated us again, because I also have dense breasts. And so I ended up getting a chip in my breast, so that each time that they do a mammogram, they kind of know that's a area that they need to pay attention to. But they also know that it's been checked out or biopsy before. So
they call it a marker. Yeah.
Marker.
Marker.
Yes, nice marker. Yes. Well, I have one more question. Mm-hmm. Is there a family history of breast cancer that also made you kind of be concerned?
I don't have a family history of breast cancer. Well, I say that. I didn't really at the time have a family history of breast cancer. My grandmother's sister that passed away in 2003, when she was in the hospital passing away, we noticed something about her nipples that looked different. And it looked like a special kind of breast cancer that I think is called Paget's disease. Mm-hmm. It was not, she was never diagnosed. So we can't say that for sure. I've had environmental tests done maybe about, well, I've had it done recently. So I've had it done like maybe 2 years after my breast cancer diagnosis. And then just recently, within the past 2 years, I've had it done again, because they've made improvements to look at your gene history and understand if that's a part of, your DNA, I'll say. And it was not. So mine is strictly environmental.
Wow, you say environmental, and I know I'm probably jumping questions, but expound on that. What do you mean by environmental?
They can't really, there's no real explanation to explain it, but I was exposed to it in some way. And not really understanding what that was, whether it was poured that. The mini Coca-Colas that I've had, and I probably shouldn't name a brand, but the mini sodas that I've had, and the chocolate cake growing up, and just, bad eating and not, eating vegetables, or having low vitamin D, or maybe, living somewhere where there's some, issue, with whatever, it's
Okay.
it's really kind of unknown, right?
Oh, okay. So they determined that yours was environmental. I like the fact that your doctor, and I'm gonna go back to that answer that you gave, that your doctor did not talk about the different stages so that she can kind of keep you positive. Because sometimes when you hear you at stage 4 cancer or stage 3 cancer, you just in your mind want to give up.
Correct.
So that's very awesome that your doctor really did not go into the details of the stages, but still, gave you the truth of, the cancer, and then all the different ways that you guys can defeat that cancer. And that kind of probably kept you positive also,
Yes.
not knowing the stages.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome. So when you first heard the news about getting cancer, how did you feel?
It was a very weird feeling, because I actually was really I was like, really? I was, speaking to God, I was like, really? Like, this is it? Like, this is how it's going to go? A crazy thing, when I was younger, we were playing around and my cousin started trying to read palms, and he looked at mine and he told me that I was going to die young. I would have a short life.
Wow.
And I always bought into that. And so when it happened, it wasn't really that I thought that I was going to die. I was very concerned about my children, because I was like, there's so much that, I need to teach them and love them and show them. That was my real concern. But then I also was like, just kind of asking God, is this your plan, for me? And then after that, I really took this kind of numb approach to it, where I just kind of got really just going with the process, like not putting too much thought around that I could die, or, this procedure, these are all the risks that pertain to that. I had a coworker that had breast cancer early on at SBC, and then later she went back when the insurance policy changed. She went back to get a double mastectomy, and I saw her go through that process. And me and her, we did jazzercise together during lunch, so we were really close. And she was really the first person, one of the first people that I had reached out to. And she was such an angel. And all this really kind of came about through a coworker, is how I really discovered it. But just to stick to this story, she was such an angel. She was like, she knew exactly what to say to me. And she said, look, this is a project and you're a project manager.
Wow.
I want you to get your binder. I want you to get the inserts that go into your binder. You're going to need little folders to put all your paperwork in. You're going to keep everything there. When you call the doctor and there's no appointment for you, you're going to ask them to be on the waiting list. You're going to call them every day until they can fit you in. And just that little pep talk that she gave me, I was like, okay. So I really,
okay, coach.
I began to treat it like a project, and I started managing it. And I think that helped me, really just get through it, because I was just working through the steps.
Wow, that's awesome. Amazing. That's amazing. So she was on your team. You guys were teammates, basically.
She was. And I went to her doctor. She thought very highly of her doctor. I was getting opinions about her doctor even before my diagnosis. So it was really good to be able to go to Dr. Amy Lang in San Antonio. She is truly the best and nationally known. And then I had other coworkers that I had found, because it was a few of us, in the same floor. They were seeing her as well. So
that's awesome. And with that being said, we are going to take a quick break and come right back with Miss Toya. Woo woo. And we are back from our break. And once again, Toya, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And I think the ladies still have a couple of more questions, or a few more questions they would like to ask. We'll go ahead with Cheryl. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Vanita. Toya, I have another question for you, and I know this one you're probably going to say, yes, I did. Did you face any obstacles during your treatment process? And if so, how did you overcome these obstacles?
Oh, that's a good question. I did face obstacles in the form of just dealing with the side effects of treatment.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any serious obstacles like having to go back into the hospital for something, or I know some women have issues with the double mastectomy, and there has to be some kind of follow-up. So really, I was blessed in the with the situation of no major obstacles, but just coping with all the side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, and then other treatments that were given to me to just give it our best chance to not have the cancer come back.
Can you share some of the side effects? Only if you would
Yeah,
like.
no, definitely. I remember being, having constipation a lot, like wanting to go to the bathroom and really, I mean, just sitting there for minutes, like 30 minutes and nothing happening at all. And then your taste is different.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing, all the food that we enjoy with all the good cooks that we know in our community, not being able to fully enjoy that. Let's see, just being tired, and with
Mm.
radiation, you have soreness in the area that they're, applying the treatment to. So, yeah, those are some of the things that I've experienced.
What about hair loss? Did you lose your hair?
Definitely. The
Mm.
hair thing just doesn't bother me as much. And I know that's really, really big for women to lose their hair. And I've always just kind of been like, it's just hair. And I'm surprised that I didn't mention that first, but that just tells you how much I just was not, bothered by that. My hair came back, but I had a better grade of hair than what I had before. So I really appreciate that. I don't think I could have ever have gone natural prior to having breast cancer. But yes, hair loss is a big issue, but this is like 10 years later. There are different treatments that women and men can have to not lose their hair. So there are options now, which is really, really good.
Well, could I ask a
Wow.
quick question? What did I know some of the things, but tell our listeners what you did since hair wasn't a major issue, but you did lose it. So what did you do?
Well, so I think really just around the house, I would wear a bandana. But when I had to go out, I had a wig, and I had a nice wig that was close to the style that I was accustomed to wearing. It was actually a real hair. I wanted to make sure, but even I found out even the synthetic ones, they're pretty cool too. So
Mm,
yeah, I just wore a wig, and you couldn't really tell the difference actually.
Hey, I
awesome.
have my hair and I still got a couple of wigs I put on every now and then. So,
Well, I know it's really a daily accessory, so it's not
yes.
really a big deal. Yeah, yeah.
So, question for you. Do you ever worry that the cancer will return?
I do, but I don't worry a lot. So I will, as soon as I recognize that I am worrying, then I nip it in the bud,
Mhm.
because I know that, even if it does come back, I have beat it before, then I will beat it again. And if I don't, then I lived a great life. I worked on all those things, kind of, even though there's more to do, always more to do.
Mhm.
But just the things that you kind of reflect on when
Mhm.
you're faced with a life, threatening illness. I've just tried to be, the authentic, caring person that at least when I'm gone, someone other than my kids and my family will say, she left the world in a better place. That's
Mhm.
what my ultimate goal is for someone to say that they're better for knowing me.
Okay.
So.
Wow. And we're all better for knowing you, Toya.
And that's really likewise. That's really likewise. I will wait till you ask all your questions, but there's definitely a part of me getting through that experience was really because of the support that I had received from each of you, and even, more than just you and that San Antonio community. That really, really was what I needed to get through.
Wow.
This, so.
Wow.
Wow. That's a great segue, because I was going to ask you, I know that you know a lot of people, you have a lot of family and friends, and I was going to ask you to share some of the things that they did to support you.
Well, yes. I'm glad you asked that question, because really it's the wind beneath my wings. You can't get that. You can't go through that kind of experience without having a village to help you do that. And I told you about Lori, who gave me the mindset in how to attack it. But you all, and even folks that are in our group that are not here, were so supportive with just asking what we needed, and with having, the double mastectomy and the limitations that you have in terms of lifting. I wasn't going to be able to care for my family with food preparation and all that. So I think how it went was my church family, which are you guys, provided me with, I think it was almost like 10 days or 2 weeks worth of meals. I think you gave like 10 days worth of meals and endless days worth of gift cards where Vernon could, order and pick up meals and bring to the house. And that was such a huge benefit, a tremendous blessing for us, because that's something that I didn't have to worry about or care for. And then right after you guys, my neighbors did the same thing, and I know they went for a week. And it really meant a lot to me. But even more than the food, just the prayers, the support, the cards, the gifts, coming to see me at the hospital, not to mention
I remember that.
there while I was doing the surgery looking all crazy. That was
But we were there.
But yes, that just really, it when we do that, when we hold space for our sisters and we stand in the gap for them, it helps them to know that they're not going through this alone, and in my experience, and I know that everyone has a different experience, I didn't feel isolated. I felt like so many people were sending prayers and love and positive thoughts my way, even beyond this group of folks here, just people at church, smiles on their faces, men, different people that you're not maybe as close to, but you can just feel that they're wishing you well. And that was definitely, appreciated, and definitely something that helped me get through the experience.
And so that's good to know, because we all want to be supportive of each other and any friends that we find out are dealing with cancer in any way. And often people don't know what to say. And so I'm going to ask you this question. It's kind of hard, but is there anything that you wish that people would not do or say in a time like that? So maybe we can learn and we'll know not to do it the next time.
I can't really remember like anything that like got on my pet peeve, or I felt like, oh, that's not comforting, or felt discouraged by something that someone said. And even if they did, I'm the kind of person that will not try to focus on that, because some people just don't know, they mean well. And I forgot to say, Jack and Jill had provided some meals too. I know one of the things, even when I got the diagnosis, Vernon was like devastated. Vernon cried, my husband, he cried more. I wasn't even crying. He would not stop crying at the doctor's office when we were talking to the surgeon. And I was like, kind of like, let me, I want to get the information, can you? But my point is that people have different references of other people or themselves and their breast cancer journey. And so the reference that he had was he had lost a close cousin that was really kind of like the glue of his family on his dad's side. So he automatically assumed that my diagnosis would mean death. And I would say that there's different types of breast cancers, and the survivability of each type is different. So, and the staging also has something to do with it. So sometimes I have dear friends that I have lost to breast cancer. And I guess my point is really that there's so much more to understanding the full diagnosis to understand kind of what the survivability will be, what the treatment will be. So it's not necessarily all doom and gloom when someone is diagnosed. And I know it's hard to kind of dance around that when you're talking to someone that has been diagnosed, but I would just encourage anyone listening to just be positive. You don't have to know the details, don't ask the details, but just be positive and supportive, and lift that person up in prayer and ask them how you can help them, and they will tell you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Toya. Thank you. That's great advice.
That is excellent advice, and it reiterates what I've been trying to do when I do talk to someone that's been diagnosed with cancer or any other illness. So with saying that, so what message would you like to provide women in the community?
I would say love on your sister, love on your neighbor.
Okay.
Whether it's breast cancer or a loss of a family member, loss of a job, just be a friend. Be who you are, and just show up. And it should be well received. And if you don't get the response that you were thinking you would get or should get, don't worry about it. Just show up and let people know. We've had someone in our Jack and Jill chapter here that was newly diagnosed, and I just sent her a note, and when she's ready to talk, we can talk. And but I provided support for the food support, just basically the same thing that you guys did. And I had to kind of keep texting her a bit because I slipped the gift card up underneath the door. And I just wanted to make sure that she got it. And we were going to have some rain. And so I wasn't trying to bug her, but I just wanted to make sure that she got it because I had proactively given her my gift card in advance. And my point is, she's dealing with things. There's a lot going on, and she gets grace. She didn't have to respond to me right away. She's trying to get through her treatment, and she doesn't need to reach out to me right now to get information that that I think will be helpful. In her own time, she will reach out. If she does not reach out, that is fine. But my point is to love on the person and just give them grace. And of course, most importantly, is just pray for them.
Yes.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, Toya, before we get out of here, I just wanted to ask you about the American corporate partners that you work for. Could you just tell us a little bit about that project?
Yes. Okay. So American Corporation, is it ACP, American Corporation Partners? Yes. It's a nonprofit organization that partners a military spouse with someone that ideally it's someone in a career that the military spouse wants to move into. I served as a mentor under with AT&T, and luckily Verizon is also doing the same program. My mentee did not want to work in telecom, but she was a work from home job, and she also had 3 small kids. And I think what was really helpful for her was to hear from me that the work that she's doing, managing her family, supporting her spouse, as well as maintaining her job responsibilities, all of that was transferable to corporate America, and helping her to see that and really brainstorming with her what she wanted to do, whether it was working for herself, which she was really thinking about that, and just, listening and just being encouraging to her. So it's, really going to be different based on the mentor and the mentee, but you meet with them, on their schedule. So we met once a month, and we didn't meet, we would talk over the phone. And it was really, I felt like it was really a good experience. And ultimately, she decided that she was not going to go to the workforce. She was not going to start working outside of her home as early as she thought. She wanted her kids to get a little bit bigger, and then she was going to pursue working outside of her home. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's great. Paying it forward to the next generation. That's wonderful.
Yes. So Toya, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story, basically your testimony. And Toya, here at the island, our goal every episode is to engage in dialogue with real talk about real issues in hopes of making a difference in at least one person's life. And so I know that this episode will be helpful to someone.
It helped us. We learned new things.
It sure did.
Yes.
Well, I'm so glad. I know that it will be helpful, but also I just want to say again that you guys have just really been so helpful to me. And I can't say it enough, that that's part of the reason why I was able to get through that experience. And I'm really happy that we have just been able to stick together through that and so many other things, the ups and the downs.
Yes.
So it's been a joy. It's really been a joy.
Yes. And so with that being said, ladies, we're hoping that we can all get up to Dallas soon. We're supposed to meet at a conference. I don't think it's going to happen. It's probably going to be virtually.
Right.
But sometime we've got to get up there and see you, Toya. But in the meantime, we want you to take care of yourself, love on your family, and be safe.
Will do. Thank you.
Wear your mask.
Love you, Toya.
Yes.
Love you.
Love you too.
Okay, bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Blessings.